Hello and welcome. My name's Lindy Smith and I am going to be demonstrating on here today, this evening, this afternoon, this morning, whatever the time of the world is with you. I will be demonstrating some emojis like the ones you see sort of bouncing around the screen. Creating something very simple for everybody to be able to do and to share with those perhaps that haven't done any sugarcraft before. So simple emojis. I don't know about you, but I adore emojis. I use them in my posts and in my WhatsApp to my family and friends and on Messenger and Facebook as well, of course. So a little bit about me. My name is Lindy Smith and I've been doing cake decorating and sugarcraft for nearly 30 years, which is quite amazing in the scheme of things. I wrote my first book back in 2000. That's probably how most of you know me. And I've written lots since. And the big news for everybody, and which is really exciting for me, is my next one is going to be published on the 1st of October. And I've now got the cover. It's behind me here. It's really exciting. But enough about that. What I'm going to show you, of course, is how to make some emojis out of sugar. Basics. You're going to need some sugar paste. Now, emojis are often yellow. Obviously, there are green ones and there are blue ones and other colours, but yellow is what I'm going to be using today. I'm using Renshaw here. I've added a little bit of white just to tone it down a fraction. I've also found that I've added a little bit of gum in as well, because if I use the Renshaw, which is very soft, especially in this warm temperature at the moment, the ball that I roll won't keep its shape. It sort of sinks a little bit. So I've added a tiny little bit of gum and I've been using CMC. Okay, so I've got a ball of paste here. Now I've got about 20 grams, but you can make them whatever size you want to. And the trick with sugar paste, as most of you know, is to knead it first. So I'm just using it in my hands. I'm going to flip the camera in a few minutes to show you close up what I'm going to be making. But I thought this bit was easier just to show you. So it's very important with sugar paste to knead. So that's what I'm doing. I'm now going to roll the ball. Now the secret of rolling a ball is to cup your hand. Can you see that? I hope you can. And then place your other hand on top in a cup and to go round and round. Now, if you're right-handed, you want to roll anti-clockwise. If you're left-handed, you do the reverse, so you roll clockwise. I'm not left-handed, so for me, that's really hard. So roll it, and then you should end up with a nice little ball. Okay, so now I'm going to flip the camera, so you won't see me now. You'll see what I'm going to be showing you. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add the face. So the smile is the first thing. All four of these have a smile, and I'm doing this with a piping tube. It doesn't matter which side you're using. All you need to do is pick it up, bring it over here. There we are. And I'm just going to press it into the paste. As you can see, not quite 45, maybe 60 degrees. And I go backwards and forwards to create a smile. It doesn't look much yet, and it's slightly wonky, because I've got the camera in front of me and it's not the way I would normally operate, but it shows you what I'm doing, hopefully nice and close. I'm then going to put a cocktail stick or toothpick, depending what you call this little implement, into each corner. And then what I found is when you place it down, so these are the ones I made earlier, don't just put it straight flat like that, because you want it at an angle, because then they look more endearing, and when you put them on top of a cake or a cupcake, they're much more visible to everybody. So there we go. That's how to do the smiles. If you've got any questions, please do pop them on, or any comments. What I'm going to do next is show you how to add all the little details. So we've got the eyes. I'm going to do the heart first, and then we'll do some sunglasses, some open-eyed, and then we're going to do the one with the more adventurous for those of you that are just starting. Little hand there. Now I've got some sugar paste which I've coloured, and I've added a little bit of CMC, because if your sugar paste is too sticky, it's very hard to handle. So a little bit of gum, and if you haven't seen gum before, I know most of you watching are experts, but I get this question when beginners start. So gum is just a white powder like this that you get in a little pot, and you just add a little bit into the paste, and you knead it until it feels a bit firmer. You can buy modelling paste too, already made, but it's locked down. It's harder to get hold of things, and I'm not in my studio at the moment, so getting hold of things is harder. So I've got some red sugar paste, I've added some gum to it, and now when I need it, it's much, much firmer, so it's much easier. As you can see, it's about a pea size, and I'm going to cut that into 4. This is a little tip for a lot of modelling. If you start with a bigger shape and you cut it in half and then half again, they'll more or less be even. Okay, so we've got 4. I'm going to bring the camera down because we're dealing with tiny little pieces here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is make some teardrops. So this is, with my fingers, I'm going to roll it, and then I'm going to go backwards and forwards to make a teardrop. Hopefully you can see that one. Maybe I should put it more central. There we go. I reckon it's about 2 years since I've done a Facebook Live, so I'm still learning, getting back into groove, as they say. So that's 2 pieces. I'm going to take my fingers. You can tell by the side of my fingers how small this heart is. So that makes a heart. Okay. Obviously, you could just use a heart cutter, but when I'm teaching on the cruise ship, the secret is to have as little equipment as possible. So I come up with all sorts of easy ways of making things without having lots of equipment. Okay, so that's the other half of that one. Use my fingers, squish it together. And then you can pick them up. Hopefully the camera's focusing. You can flatten them a little bit to make them more even. That's the first one. And this will be the second one. Obviously with emojis, they're changing all the time. I was quite tempted to make the new care emoji, but I thought, no, I'm going to keep it simple and keep it to what I've got already. So I'm going to bring these in. In fact, I'll bring just one of them in. Now, one tip here is to make them and let them dry for a little bit, because this is just sugar paste with a tiny bit of gum, so it's still quite soft. And I made these probably about an hour ago in preparation for today. So it means that when I touch them, they're still soft, but they're not going to misshapen too much. Okay, what I've got here is some water. Can you see that? A little bit of water and a paintbrush. I'll move that over. There we go. And I'm just going to use a damp brush on the back of the heart and push that in like that. And that's, whoops-a-daisy. Not too much water because you don't want to mark the emoji itself. Okay, so there. It's not quite finished. What I'm going to do is add a little bit of light spot on top. So if I bring the one I've done in, so it's going to have little dots. I think it makes it cuter. And also at the end, I'm going to add a little bit of blusher. So don't let me forget the blusher. I don't know if you can see that on there. Each of these emojis have a little bit of blusher. So to make those little spots, you could obviously roll them in your fingers if you wanted to, but I use my piping tube. And what I'm going to do is bring in a little board here. I'll just move him out the way. Okay. And I've got some white sugar paste. Again, I've added some gum, or you could use modelling paste if you've got it. I'm just going to knead the paste, so warm it up. I'm going to place it on here. I've got a rolling pin, and I'm just going to roll this out really thinly, like so. Now, if you've got any of my books, you will know that this is one of my favourite techniques for cutting circles, is using the piping tube, pressing on and twisting it to cut through the paste. My new book's no exception. I still use this technique. It's so easy and so useful when you want small circles all the same size. I'm cutting enough for each of the emojis. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is just lift this paste, and hopefully the circles will stay put. There we go, like that. Now what I'm going to do is take my paintbrush and bring him in. Just dampen it slightly. I'm not using sugar glue, I'm just using straight water. And I'm just going to go under there and hopefully pick it up like so. Use my finger. As you can see, it's very easy. If you find that you're distorting the shapes as you pick them up, just leave them for a minute or two to harden. So there we are, that's the first one. I hope you like him, and I hope you think that you can do it and you can teach your grandchildren and children and whoever else you think might be interested. That's the very first. I shall move on now to the next one, which is going to be this little guy with his sunglasses. So the way I do that is using a little bit of black paste. I'll just turn this round. Again, it's black sugar paste with some gum added, and I'm not using any specific amount. It's more that I'm just dipping it in and kneading it until I've got the right consistency. Now I've got, again, a ball. Now because I want these sunglasses the same size, I want to roll this ball and then cut it in half. So I've got two the same. It's always a great tip for when you want two things the same. So now, although it doesn't always work, sometimes you don't cut it in the right place and you'll find that they aren't quite the same, but now they look more or less similar. Again, you could use a cutter for this, but as I said, when I'm teaching on the cruise ships, I don't have all the equipment, so it's better just to do it without. So I'm just using my finger and I'm just pressing down to flatten. I'm then going to use my finger around the edge. So I'm pushing the edges of the down to the board, like so. And now what I'm going to do is cut across each, and the best tool I found is a cutting wheel. You could of course just use a knife, a craft knife or a palette knife, but just because I've got one here, I'm going to go across and across there. So we've got to remove the excess. So I've got two parts of the sunglasses, two of the lenses, aren't they? There we go. I'll just use another tool. You could use a paintbrush, a cocktail stick, anything, just to knock the corners back. I'm then going to get one of my little ones I made earlier, bring him in, or it could be a her, of course. And again, I'm going to lift it with a damp paintbrush. So this can be the first one. And then this is the second. Now, again, you can just press down. Because I've allowed these to harden for a little bit, the ball itself, it's easier to press down. You could, of course, leave them to harden overnight, but sticking everything on is easier when the paste isn't completely hard. I'm now going to put a light spot, as you just saw me cut, so I'll just pick one up from over here. And so these are the reflections. Nice and straightforward, nice and simple. On the next one is this little chap. Now I'm going to use cutters or piping tubes to cut these circles. So it's as I did for the light spots. Again, always remember to knead. So I'm kneading my paste. I'm just kneading. So I'll hopefully be able to roll out each of these in camera. You'll be able to see. So that's just a little bit of the white. Then it's blue. Now one of my neighbours is mowing their lawn at the moment, so I'm hoping you can't pick that up, but that's all about lockdown, isn't it? We all tend our gardens and make everything look lovely because we've got time. There we are, it's just a bit of blue. All I'm doing is rolling down the middle here, just for speed, because I'm only going to need little pieces. And the final one is some black. Okay, that's over here. So I say, just pressing down in the middle of my rolling pin. Right, so what I've got, these are PME tubes. I've got an 18, which is what I'm going to cut this largest circle with. So that's the 18. I'll just remove the excess. That's the 18. 17 is going to be the blue. Now all piping tubes are different depending on the brand. So the Wilton numbering is different to PME numbering, which is different to all the other brands as well. So just take a nice large one and then a smaller one and then a smaller, and then experiment and see what happens and see what you like. So that one's the PME 4 if you have PME tubes. And I've just remembered I need the white one back because I need, bring that back in because I need something smaller. And this time I'm using 2.5. If it gets stuck inside like it has, you just get a paintbrush and knock it out. These smaller ones, they often get stuck inside. But that's fine. Now it's time to build the eye. So I've got the white there. I'm going to use the damp paintbrush to lift up the blue and place it on here. And the next one. No, black pupil. Like so. And black there. Try and put them in the same position. I mean, you can make them cross-eyed and do all sorts of things as well, but if you're wanting to do like mine, then they need to be in the same position. And the light spot also needs to be in the same position. So that's the eyes. I shall bring in the face. And same principle as before, just lifting it with a damp paintbrush in position. And again. That might need to come down a little, but it adds character. So there we are. That's the third one. And the final one is the more tricky one, I guess. I'll move him out. Could leave him there, couldn't we? And that's this one, which has got the hand. So for beginners in modelling, the hands is a little bit harder, but I'm going to show you how it's done. So hopefully you'll be able to show other people as well. Now, first of all, I'm going to do the eyes, and the eyes are done again with the black. So because I want them the same size, I'm sure you know what to do by now, and that is to cut the ball in half. And it may be that I need to do it in half again. We'll just have to see. In fact, I'm sure I will. So I'm going to do that in half again. Like so. Okay, so what I'm doing, I've rolled 2 balls. And I'm just rolling either side of the ball to make it pointed. I'm hoping you can see that. So I'm tapering it. It's still looking rather big compared with this one. So actually what I might do is cut that in half again, and we'll get them really tiny. It's all trial and error. It will depend on how big your initial emojis are. As I said, mine are 20 grams each, but you can make bigger ones or smaller ones. It's entirely up to you. That's a better size, I think. So I'm going to roll that side, and then I'm going to roll this side. You could do this in your palm of your hand, and that's probably how I would normally do it. But because of the way the camera is right now, I don't think that's going to be possible. But if I do this one off camera, because it's the heat of your hand helps melt the sugar, it rolls faster. So can you see what I've done there? So that was doing it in my hand, and that was doing it on the board. So I'll just pick this one up. I don't think I can do that. No, I can't maneuver my hand under the camera, I'm afraid. I don't think I can. No, see, it's far too big. I can't get my finger in here, really. But you get the idea, I think. So those are the 2 eyes. So I'll just move this little chap to one side. And I'll bring in this one. So this is the one I rolled a few moments ago at the beginning of the demo. So he's still very soft. Pick up the eye. Be careful when you're using black on yellow, because if you put it in the wrong place, you might get a smudge of black. At the moment, he's looking a bit Chinese. See the difference? So what I'm going to do is use my finger, bring the corners down, and maybe push that up that way. Oops. Wait a minute, let's turn him round. He needs a little pinch. Now he wants to stick to my fingers. It's quite warm here. I don't know what it's like where you are in the world, but here today it's fairly warm. The sun is shining. It's a beautiful day. I'm not going to fiddle around with that too much. We're just going to have a rather strange shaped eye, but hey ho. You know what it's meant to look like. It's meant to look like that. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the hand now. So I'm just going to move these backwards. Leave him there. You need a ball of the yellow sugar paste, again with a little bit of gum added to it. So I'm using CMC, which I showed you earlier. And I need a ball. So, ball. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch it into shape initially. So I'll move that out. So hopefully I can show you. So the way I do this is I'm pinching that way and pinching this way. So we'll start with getting a sort of fattish pad. And then I'm going to pinch the excess, this bit here, away. So I'm creating a pad shape. Like that. Then I'm going to put it onto my work surface. Again, you could just use a knife or craft knife. I've got a cutting wheel. So I'm going to cut the thumb. Now the thumb is created by cutting out a triangle like that. Now this is very basic modelling for a hand, but it's a great way to start. So that is your thumb. Now to make 4 fingers, you need 3 cuts. So I'm going to use the tool. 1, 2, 3. And then if you want to, you could bring in a Dresden tool and just curve the top of the fingers. You can do all sorts of other things too, but this is just as a starting point. Like that. And then the thumb, just round it down. And then I'm going to pick it up. And on this side, you see this feathering. This feathering always gets to me, whether people using cutters or they making things. Feathering I just don't like. I just like to make sure that I've got rid of it. So using my tool, there we have to get rid of that. And now I'm going to pinch that thumb because it's looking a little bit on the large side. And that is going to go, if I bring him in. Now where you want it to go is up to you. Think about how if you have putting your hand on your face, where it would go. You know, it could be scratching its head, it could be rubbing its nose, it could be laughing, which is really what this is all about. So that hand is going to go over the mouth, and then underneath, like so. But you can change it and do whatever takes your fancy, really. So this is the one I did earlier, which of course is a lot better because it's not been done live. That's just, there we are, that's better. So this ball is quite soft. So there we go. Now if I bring all of them in, and I will zoom out again, and you'll be able to see them all. Let's mix them up a bit. So I've got a whole family of emojis. Let's bring him in there. Okay, let's go up. Okay, and move those out. So there we have some emojis. If you've got any questions about how to create these, they are very simple. I say it's one of the beginners classes I teach on the cruise ships when I'm actually out on the ocean. And I know everybody loves it. And obviously you can adapt it and you can do your own emojis. You can look on Facebook and Messenger and WhatsApp and get some inspiration for different colours and different expressions. There's all sorts out there. So I hope you've enjoyed it, taken something away from it. We all learn. However long we've been doing some sugarcrafting, we learn from each other all the time. And I think this is wonderful that we do. So thank you very much. I will sign off now.